So here's a quick video outlining what I did today quickly, and then I'm going to show you some of the things that I have to transfer over and why from the old engine to the new engine. It's just going to increase my workload a little bit, but I'm making a list and trying to be methodical. But here we go. Okay, so this is the engine bay in the bus, and of course we have no engine and transmission. They came out today after 2 days of disconnecting all kinds of stuff, and everything got labeled, almost everything. There's my wiring harness, and we've got air lines and oil lines, coolant lines, alternator wires, another air line. It's pretty gross back here. This engine's just leaking so much oil, it's disgusting. Trailer wiring for towing the truck. Big old coolant lines all over the place. There's one here too. And various sensors. Here's a coolant temp sensor. So all of the above. Now, here's the pile of stuff that I took out. Bumper, trailer hitch, exhaust, air filter housing. Yep, my big pile of stuff. Here's the engine. Pretty cool. Pretty crazy stuff. That's Derek, he's an artist working on a forge, working on all kinds of cool stuff. He makes amazing things. There's the new engine. So, okay, here's a couple of things. On the old engine, you see this valve cover. Right here is the oil fill tube. So this is how, when I'm facing the engine in the back of the bus, I open up the door, I open this flap up, and I can add oil to the engine whenever I need to, okay? Look at where it's located. It's at technically the back of the engine, okay, over here. These vents are pointed down, and they're on this part of the valve cover. If you look over here, oil fill is right here. It should be like right over here. And the vent should be here, not back here. So these entire valve covers got to be taken off. Those other ones have to be put on. I will clean them up and make them look nice before they go on. In addition, you see these pulleys. This is for, I don't know, A or B drive belts. They're small grooves, and I have C-sized pulleys. These are huge grooves because I have the biggest belts you can buy to run my blower fans. Also, you notice there's a tiny little space back here between this harmonic balancer and these bolts, okay? Very little space. So this is shoved right up against the engine because there's not much room in a bus. There's a huge amount of space here. So I'm gonna have to switch that. Water pump. See how this is at an angle, and this is at an angle coming out this way. It's called a running pump. Looks like the guy's running. This one on my old engine straight down, one back. The entire water pump housing has to be swapped over. Okay. Power steering pump, air compressor, alternator. That's a huge alternator, by the way, as you can see. Puts at 260 amps at 24 volts. That all has to be swapped over to the new engine. As you can see over here, there's nothing back here. Okay, these are just plates covering up where all these accessories have to go. So that's all got to be swapped over. This is a cooler for the coolant. You can see hardly, but you can see that it's got one pipe that goes into the engine, another one that goes up here to the water pump. On mine, gotta go to this side. Here we go. Okay, I don't know if you can see it clearly, but I have a line. Can't see it, but I've got a line right here, back in there in the dark, that goes all the way to my transmission cooler. So that's the tranny cooler that's exchanging coolant from the engine and the radiators to the transmission fluid. These are transmission fluid lines cooling the tranny fluid. So in order for that to work, I've got to replace that entire housing. For that to work, it's got to go on from old engine to new engine. So these are just the list of things that you have to do when you buy an engine that was meant for a truck and not a bus, of course. And I have to transfer all that over. In addition, as you can see, this is the transmission. I have to disconnect the transmission from this engine and put it on the new one. The new engine has a flywheel because it was meant for a stick shift truck, a manual shift transmission. So I have to take my flex plate out of this transmission and put the flex plate in that one, take the flywheel out of that one. That'll take some time. Basically what you do is you have a little, you can't see it, but there's a plug back in here that you undo, and then you turn the engine with this large socket. And as you turn the engine, you can basically get to those bolts one by one. There's like 22 of them or something crazy. And you just access them through there, undo it, and once it's out, turn the engine a little further, get to the next one, pull it out, and keep going until they're all out. And then once that's done, I'm gonna chain the transmission with this hoist, take some weight off of it, and then start undoing the bolts that are holding it to the engine, which are back in there. There's a whole bunch of those, like 26 of those. So basically where I'm at right now is just a lot of tedious, methodical work that's going to be necessary to get this all transferred over properly. And it'll happen. Just it's going to take me several days to get it done. Jack leaves tomorrow morning to do some tractor pulls. So for the next 10 days, I'm going to be on my own just trying to get this stuff methodically moved over. And then that entire engine cradle that the engine sits on actually has to be moved over to the new engine because it slides onto these rails right here. That cradle. It slides right on there and then gets bolted down. So that's also got to be transferred over. And then once the new engine is in, all these coolant lines have to be hooked back up. There's one back here. All these cables and air lines have to be hooked back up. Again, I've labeled them, written them down. There's more air lines, fuel lines right there. That's fuel. Yeah. It was quite an ordeal getting everything out, so it'll be quite an ordeal getting it back in. But I'm going to get it done, and I have to get it done. I don't have a choice. So that's the nitty-gritty for those of you interested in the nitty-gritty. And we're just getting it done little by little.